Keenan, and today I'm going to be going over the TEC division's draft that I chose. And yeah, I know it's been a while since I've done a video, so I just decided that I'll just record how my TEC H/season goes, like vanilla Snorlax. So I'm just going to be going over the mons I chose and the reason behind their nicknames and why I chose those particular Pokemon for my team. So let's get into it. Well, as you can see, there is a card on the side of the screen, and that is because I've named each of my Pokemon after Yu-Gi-Oh cards, since I've been getting into Yu-Gi-Oh a lot more lately. So I was actually second in the snake draft, which was kind of a first for me. I've never been so early inside a snake draft, so I was really excited since there was a pick that went on last season, being Mega Diancie. However, I was super low, so I wasn't able to get it last season. So this season, I took advantage of my second placement and got Mega Diancie, which will be nicknamed Bloom Diva, as you can see to the card to the right of it. Which they look pretty similar, you can't lie. Like, come on, Diancie looks like Bloom Diva, so that's why I named it. Diancie will be my Mega Pokemon and my primary Fairy type. I will have another Fairy type, however we'll get into that later. As you can see, its stats are super good, with 160 in both attack stats and 110 in both defenses and in speed. It's a very nice speed tier, with quite a few mons in it, so it makes you need to at least try speed tying with it. And just a high base stat total. Its ability is Magic Bounce, which I think most people know what that does. It's just a very good overall mon. It can be bulky pre-mega with its high defenses. It can be very offensive. It's a very good wall breaker. Has good coverage. Diamond Storm was super good as always, with a 50% chance to boost defense. Moonblast has Play Rough now, which is also interesting. Mystical Fire, Body Press, it also learns Trick Room. I probably won't run Trick Room, but it's always there as a possibility. And yeah, it's just an overall amazing Pokemon. There's much to say about Mega Diancie right here. So let's just move on to the next Pokemon. Next up, we have the Shining, also going to be known as Jirachi. I forgot to change the stats on the side. Those are still Mega Diancie stats, but those stats are pretty much going to be 100 across the board, with a 600 total. Jirachi is going to be my steel type of this team, and I named it the Shining since the card, to be honest, at least to me, it looks like a very buff Jirachi. So, and I think that's funny, to be honest. So that's why I chose this card as Jirachi's nickname. Being a steel type, this, along with Diancie, helps fill out the Fairy Dragon Steel Core, a base 100 speed tier, which is a very good speed tier to have. It's also a rocker, just like Diancie, which I forgot to mention for that. The Psychic typing, it can help for a small Psychic Dark Fighting Core, which I do have, which you'll see later in the draft. Jirachi, it's so good, it can run so many different sets, it's so versatile since all its stats are pretty much super balanced with them being based on 100 across the board. You can do like Scarf, Specs, Choice Band, if you really wanted to. You can do setup of Calm Mind, you can just do a Rocker, Wish Passer. You can do some Cosmic Power, Stored Power thing. It's just overall a super good and balanced Pokemon, and its natural bulk I thought would be really good for the team to help filling out the cores. But so far, as you can notice, two of my Pokemon are super weak to Earthquake. So around this point, I was thinking I needed a good flying type, and something else that could also fill out this core. At first I was thinking Salamence, since I wasn't sure if just Pokemon would make it to me. However, it did, and that Pokemon being there it is, Dragonite. Dragonite is a is a pretty good dragon type, I would say. It's a flying type, so it helps with my ground weakness so far. As you can see, the card I named it after is Power Tool Dragon, and like they look pretty similar to me. At least I think they do. Is there going to be a dragon flying type? And as you can see, I didn't mess up the stats this time, so they're right here. With base 91 HP, 134 attack, 95 defense, 100 special attack, 100 special defense, and 80 speed, with a total of 600 in its base stats, the same as Jirachi. It is a powerful Pokemon that's very high potential to set up and sweep the opponent. It's bulky, especially with its ability in multi-scale, which that does when it's at full health, you take half damage on any attack. That means you can take a super effective hit and get some dragon dances going. This Pokemon, it also defogs, which is nice, and it goes really well with Mega Diance's Magic Bounce, so that can bounce back rocks, so Dragonite won't have to run heavy duty boosts as often as you might think. And that's another reason is that I think it has pretty good synergy with Mega Diancie, with not just taking the grass and ground hits, and water hits actually, but just being able to take advantage of magic bouncing the rocks. Its base 80 speed tier is super nice to have, especially along with Jirachi, so it's not sharing any speed tiers, which I don't mind sharing speed tiers as much as vanilla. However, I like to have my speed tiers spread out. This Pokemon, it can run Choice Band, Defog, potentially Wish Passing. It can be set up like I said earlier. And Dragonite, it just can also be defensive, I guess. But Dragonite's just an overall good Pokemon. It's bulky. It's just hits hard. It's has very high coverage. It's like Ice Beam, Water moves, Fire moves. It can pretty much hit anything under the sun, which is something I really like about Dragonite. So my next pick, is everything covered by Dragonite? I think that's everything. Can't really think of much. Next pick is Soul Ogre, also known as Swampert. And yeah, honestly, I couldn't find a Yu-Gi-Oh card to look exactly like Swampert, but I figured something in the Gishki archetype would work, so I chose Soul Ogre to be its name and to represent what it does. Oh, there it is. The stats changed. I was about to say that I really messed that up again. But yeah, it has base 100 HP, base 110 attack, 90 defense, 85 special attack, 90 special defense, and 60 speed. It's a water ground type, so that means its only weakness is actually going to be grass type, which is really nice only having one weakness, especially on your bulky water type. Swampert, it can set rocks, especially with this new move Flip Turn from Sword and Shield. It has a pivoting move, which is very nice, especially for a Slowmon like this. And even though it doesn't have its own healing like other bulky waters, I do have a couple of Wish Passers, meaning I can keep it healthy throughout the game. And what else can Swampert do? I mean, bulky sized, potentially like a Choice Banded set if I really need a ground type to hit hard. What else could it be? I could see a potential Scarf set coming. However, we'll have to see about that. May or may not happen. It has the general type coverage a water type would have. It has water moves, it has ice moves. It has ground moves since it's a ground type, and my main ground type of this team. What else does this have? It can Toxic, but to be honest, and it can also do Stealth Rocks. But to be honest, I think that's it on Swampert. Its roles, it's a really good Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but like it's gonna be pretty much doing the same thing for most weeks, unless I find myself in a situation where I need an offensive water or ground type. So yeah, Soul Ogre is gonna be our main bulky water of this team. So let's move on to the next Pokemon. Next up is Togekiss, which I had named, oh god, Kimun Falcos. Actually, I originally was going to choose a different card for this, however, a friend of mine, Pun, wanted me to use a Ritual Beast, since that's one of his favorite archetypes, so I went with this Ritual Beast card he suggested. Togekiss is going to be our main cleric, and also helping with our ground weakness so far with the Diancie and Jirachi. It is base 80 speed tier, same as Dragonite, which I said I don't mind too much. However, it's a flying type. Oh, it's the same as Dragonite, so I'm not sure how I feel about that, but to be honest, I don't want to use Sylveon again, especially after the last draft I was in. I'm tired of using Sylveon right now. But yeah, it has 85 HP, 50 attack, it's not going to be using it anyways. 95 defense, 120 special attack, 115 special defense. It's just a bulky Pokemon. It can defog just like Dragonite, it can Wish Pass, it can use Scarf, it can use Specs, you can use Setup. It has so much variety in this one Pokemon. You can Thunder Wave, you can Air Slash spam. There's so much you can do here. I think it's just a good cleric to choose from, especially with what was left by this point. I didn't want any of the other clerics, to be honest. I didn't really like what was left. What else is there for Togekiss? I already said it's time to set to can run. I also have a Baton Pass. I think we're allowed to Dry Pass. If we're not, then oh well, but if we are allowed to Dry Baton Pass, then this also has momentum on it, which is going to be really nice. And I suspect Togekiss will come to a lot of weeks. Could be mainly as a defogger, but there's also a very, very high chance I'll use it for offensive capabilities, since it is no slouch in the offense department with 120 special attack. Alright, next on the list is midfielder, also going to be Cinderace, because by this point in the draft, my team was looking pretty slow. As you can see, my fastest Pokemon was Mega Diancie, and that, I don't like that. I don't want 110 to be my fastest Pokemon. It can't threaten 130 Pokemon to run Jolly or Timid, which I found to be an issue I really didn't want to deal with. So I decided to draft Cinderace, since I also needed a fire type as well. And the card I named after was UA Midfielder, which you can see the similarity, I think. Now, let's be real here. There's only two stats that matter on this Pokemon, and that's attack and speed, which those being pretty high for what it can do. Cinderace will primarily be probably a pivot with heavy duty boots. It has Court Change, so it can mess around with hazards. I could see myself potentially running a bulk up set. I could see Scarf. I already said heavy duty boots. I could see Choice Band. There's a couple different sets I can run with it. However, I am not allowed to use Libero, which is unfortunate, but Blaze Cinderace can do just as much damage, with Pyro Ball being such a powerful move that can just break things if you don't have a good fire resist. And it's just a fast, hard-hitting Pokemon, which I really needed, mainly for the speed. And yeah, that's really it about Cinderace. I don't think there's much to say. Oh yeah, that also reminded me, Togekiss. I forgot to talk about its abilities. It has Serene Grace, which will probably be the ability we will bring every week. And it also has Hustle, which we're going to use. It just boosts your attack by 1.3, I think. Though it lowers the accuracy by 30% to all of your moves, which is no bueno in my opinion. It would never come, especially with that 50 attack. There's no reason to use a physical attack stat. It also has Super Luck, which I'm already hexing with Serene Grace. I don't need to hex even more trying to crit something with Super Luck. So I don't imagine myself using any of the other abilities. Is there any other abilities I forgot to mention? No, nope. I think I brought up everything else for abilities. Alright, next is Drapion, who is going to be based on Goki or Scorpio. It is going to be my grounded poison for the team, along with being my main dark type of the draft, which every draft should have a dark type. It's pretty much the law, I think. And you need something to take care of that can take psychic hits and very offensive ghost hits like Spectrier. And I really like Drapion, especially after the last draft I did. I really got attached to Drapion. It has a pretty good speed tier. It's bulky physically. You can run a lot of different sets like Sword, Stance, Assault Vest, Black Sludge, Defensive. It gets Toxic Spikes, which is a really good hazard to have, especially if your opponent does not have a grounded poison, which is just funny to laugh in their face as they can't get rid of them. So wasting a turn trying to defog. Drapion plays Sword Stance has also potential. What else is there? Choice Band, Scarf. Drapion is just an overall good Pokemon. You can't really go wrong with it in my opinion. Its abilities are Sniper, which I don't see myself using, Battle Armor, which I see myself using for pretty much the main ability I think, honestly, since I don't see myself trying to crit spam with Sniper anytime soon, and with Battle Armor you're protected from crits yourself, which, to be honest, could be nice since it's going to be playing a defensive role I can see for many weeks, unless I really like an offensive poison or dark type that week. It has knockoff as Pursuit, it has Poison Stab, which I need, even though it's coming off of not that high of an attack stat. It's still something that can hit hard potentially, like I said, with Choice Band or Sword Stance. It can physically take hits well. If I do Assault Vest, it can especially take them well. With 95 speed, it outspeeds most fairy types, I believe, except for the ones over the base 90 speed tier, of course. However, I have Pokemon to take care of things like Tapu Koko, like Swampert, so he won't be having to solely rely on Drapion for those. And yeah, honestly, I'm really happy about its nickname too. I think Drapion and Scorpio just fit together for a name. Alright, we talked about the importance of a grounded poison and dark type. Let's go on to the next Pokemon, shall we? Next is Alsay. We'll go with that, yeah. With the Tangrowth. It's based off this Sylvan card right here. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to name Tangrowth at first. I was scrolling through different cards, and I was recommended to use something in the Sylvan archetype, so I just went with this beautiful beast right here. And honestly, as you can see from the team before, I didn't have a grass type, and I still personally think I was super weak to Earthquake, even with the two flying types. So I got a good defensive grass type that could take care of Earthquake Stone Edge combo. With 100 HP, 100 attack, 125 defense, and 110 special attack, this thing hits with malicious intent and takes hits like a champ. Even though it has 100, dang it, I can't speak. Even though it only has 50 special defense, with Assault Vest, it can still take special hits pretty well. And since this thing is pretty much a wall, I won't need its speed for anything pretty much. I can see potentially Choice Band, even Choice Specs, for an offensive grass type, because this thing is no slouch offensively. It has pretty good coverage with Earthquake, Knockoff, Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder. It's an overall good defensive grass type. What else? Oh yeah, also my team was super water weak, is what I noticed, and I really figured a grass type would help with that water weakness along with my ground weakness, since it covered both typings pretty well. And its abilities, the main one that we're going to be using is Regenerator, which is every time it switches out and comes back in, it will gain 30 or 33% of its overall HP back, which is super good for a defensive Pokemon, especially like this one. honestly, I was really surprised I'd actually get Tangrowth, since I was looking for a grass type and I was originally told to use Decidueye, and I was really reluctant to get that, so I'm really happy I was able to see that Tangrowth was still open as a slot. I don't know why, I just wouldn't have felt safe if my grass type was Decidueye. It just doesn't feel like it does enough. Its stats are kind of weird, but I like Tangrowth. It's strong. This is also my first time using it, so I'm kind of excited about that as well. This is my first time using a lot of Pokemon in a draft, like Swampert as well. Alright, next Pokemon is gonna be Hitmonchan. I named Battlein. I didn't know what to name it Headgeared. That would have been weird. But this is the specific card it is named after in the Battlein Boxer archetype. So I just shortened it to Battlein. This thing, it hits pretty well for what it does. 105, it's not that good, but it's not bad either. And it has super high special defense. I mainly got this as a rapid spinner in a fighting type with pretty good coverage like Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, especially with its abilities Iron Fist boosting up any punching moves. Rapid Spin to help remove hazards. You can do Assault Vest, Power Up Punch, Bulk Up. Does it get Swords Dance? I can't remember exactly. It may have Swords Dance, I don't know. It has really good priority in Bullet Punch and Mach Punch, especially powered up by Iron Fist. And is overall just a good, especially defensive Pokemon. However, I do end up actually trading Battlein in for a different Pokemon after Grace Period, which is why you still see it here, since technically I'm still going to have Battlein for week 1, but it is going to change for week 2, and I will do a separate video about that change. But to be honest, I don't think there's much to go over about Hitmonchan. If it does come, it's going to be like Choice Band, Bulk Up, or Assault Vest, taking in special hits and hitting back with the damage it can do. And like, it's pretty linear. I think it has Toxic. Yeah, everything has Toxic. It also has Toxic to spread status, however, I don't see myself running it that much. It's just overall more hazard removal in my opinion, and the main reason it gets replaced in the end, since it doesn't do that much for my team in particular, I believe. But the speed tier, base 76, I actually like the speed tier, since I don't have anything in the 70s, I believe. Do I? Yeah, nothing in the 70s. So which is why another reason I really like Battlein, since it just a speed tier that I needed, and but I guess I won't have that in the future. But y'all see what I pick. If you look at the team, you can probably guess at what it needs in the end, so that could be interesting to see. Alright, next Pokemon is, oh god, Giganchi. Pretty much, I thought this was a perfect fit for Misdreavus, and it's just an adorable card. I feel like that if Misdreavus was a Yu-Gi-Oh card, it would be Ghost Trick Giganchi. Its stats are meh, because it's not a fully evolved Pokemon. However, Misdreavus it's always been a thing in like Gen 2 and in lower tiers ever since Eviolite came out, especially. So this thing is going to be a Spin Blocker, a Will-O-Wisper taunt, and a pretty good Eviolite Pokemon, since its stats aren't that bad for a not fully evolved Pokemon. And I think it makes you make use of it, and I do see myself bringing it in a couple of weeks, especially if I find myself wanting to keep hazards up longer from a spinner, or if I really, really don't want to mess with some kind of normal fighting type. And yeah, not much to say about Misdreavus. It does a few things. It has Destiny Bond, Parasong, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Shadow Ball, Hex, and also Hex I can find myself using along with Toxic Spikes from Drapion. That's a pretty good combo I can end up coming up with. But like I said, it's just me running Eviolite, maybe Scarf for any time it does come. Just gonna be one of those most likely. It's just a ghost type. I mean, And it's levitate, so it's another ground immunity, so that's always nice. And just thought Giganshi would be a nice Pokemon for the team, especially for what I had at the time. Alright, last Pokemon. Now, I know I probably only have like 2 points when I made this last pick. It is super strong. I was actually really amazed that no one sniped this Pokemon, especially by the end. And it's the almighty Wooper. Yep, I got Wooper. Now, honestly, I got this for 2 reasons. Well, 3. One, Water Absorb could always be a useful tech I decide to use, especially since someone drafted Dracovish. However, this thing is probably gonna get knocked down by a Outrage from a Dracovish, so that's not really a good reason. 2, Unaware. Unaware Wooper may do something. It was mostly a joke, but it technically has something to do. However, I don't see myself using it at all. It may come one week as a joke if I don't need the win, but yeah, it's just a Wooper. Its stats are awful, like even compared to Misdreavus. Even though they're both not fully evolved Pokemon, it's just terrible stats. I named it after this card called Deep Sea Diva, and I named it. You see, they don't look that similar. However, Shiny Wooper, that's the key here. Shiny Wooper is pink, and as you can see, Deep Sea Diva is also pink. So put 2 and 2 together, Shiny Wooper kind of looks like a Deep Sea Diva, and that's kind of it for Wooper. There's not much to say about it. And is there anything else I want to go over about my team? To be honest, not really. Oh, Jirachi stats are fixed. Yay, base 100 across the board. Now you can get to see it. But I like the name theming a lot, actually. I like how I did this. I like the Pokemon a lot. I like the type coverage I have. It's just, I think it's a pretty standard draft. Like, I don't think there's anything that particularly special about it, but I think it gets the job done. It gets the job done well for what it can do. And I'm really excited about using Diancie, Jirachi, and Dragonite. This core, this made me so happy that I was able to get it. But like I said, Hitmonchan will end up getting replaced by the end of week 1, so I will do something about that later. And I do want to apologize about the lack of content recently. It's either been school or just haven't been in the mood to do YouTube recently. And just in case if I sound weird, I am sick actually. So if I do sound weird, that is probably the reason. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoy the video and enjoy my draft. If y'all have any tips for my draft or anything you want to say about it, I'd be glad to hear any criticism about it. And with that, good night, ladies and gentlemen.